Okay.
Okay, we're going to do a down and dirty azimuth motor change on this satellite dish. This is not a Pro series. This is the regular old Trav'ler series. And this is direct, doesn't matter. Dish and direct are the same. I like to do it without the reflector on there. Makes things a little bit easier. And we're just gonna do this. It would normally be screwed down to the roof and sealed down. Then there's another plate that goes onto that. Do not take that apart. You have to take this bearing ring apart, which is 6 screws, 5/16, right here around the turret assembly. And this is the actual bearing part where the dish turns. Take those 6 out. There's a ring that's going to drop down here. Don't worry about it. Carefully lift up on the turret assembly, and you got to tilt it back without pulling on these wires too much. Okay, so this is all the further you have to take it apart. Okay, get the right Allen wrench. There's only 3 screws that hold this motor in place. We're going to take them out. Gears facing toward this side right here. As you can see, that's it. That is your azimuth motor. There's a little tab on the top to unplug it, and that's it. Now, inside of here, you may not have this black cover. There's a little magnetic ring here. This thing right here is very delicate, so you want to be real careful when you're putting it in and out that you don't bang into that, because it will crack and break off. Okay, so reinstallation. There's nothing wrong with this motor, so I'm going to put it right back in. You get the tab lined up on the top, plug the 6-pin connector in, go back into it with the wires kind of in the same place. The gear goes. Oops, I think I gotta go this way. The gear goes to the outside, just like that, with the gear facing to the outside. Start your 3 screws. Kind of tricky to get started sometimes. And like I said, there's only 3 of them. They will align your motor. There is no other alignment. There's nothing to adjust or anything like that on this motor when you put it back in. Make sure your clutch is set on your screw gun. And run them in. Now the motor's installed. Plug back in, everything. Okay, do not pull too tight on these wires while you're doing any of these operations. Okay, next thing. Plastic ring should be between these 2 stops. There's a ridge that goes all the way around here. Do not pinch it on that ridge. Get it between these 2 stops. I like to go full counterclockwise with it from the top. Get it all the way over to the left, and then right back in here, there's a stub that sticks down and actually rides in there. That needs to be out in here somewhere when you put it back on. So carefully lift this back up, turn it a little bit so that it's back in there. Try to get your bearings all lined up. It should just kind of drop into place. Pretty simple. And then you got to lift this ring up and rotate it around so you can start these screws again. You got to kind of wiggle a little bit sometimes. This thing's going to kind of slide around a little bit. Start a screw on one side. Get it started in that ring. You have to lift the ring up to meet the bottom of this. Then grab the other side and wiggle it around until you get the screws lined up. Start them in. It's not real hard to do. And the bearing ring will just, it'll kind of float in there a little bit. And grab your other screws, start them all in. And that ring will lift up against here as you tighten it up. 5/16 back again. Carefully run these down. Once you get the 2 across each other down, it's a simple matter. Oops, there's my light. simple matter of tightening those down, and that's it. You got a Trav'ler with a new azimuth motor in it. You can see it'll kind of spin a little bit. Don't spin it much because it'll damage the electronics if you try to spin it too much too fast. But you can see it's rolling, the motor's moving, everything's good to go.